We now have the names of the 3 people who were flying on a Cessna 310 when it plunged into a retention pond in a residential community.
60-year-old Michael Huber, 20-year-old Tess Huber, and 17-year-old Abigail Huber were all killed. They lived in Port St. Lucie, but Tess Huber was a student and member of the golf team at the University of North Florida. Their plane was on its way from St. Lucie County Airport to Craig Airport last night when it crashed near the backyard of a home on Nettington Court in the Sutton Lakes neighborhood off Atlantic Boulevard. Channel 4's Jim Piggott has been talking with witnesses who saw or heard the crash, and he's joining us live from the neighborhood with an update on the investigation. Jim?
You know, Mary, this is a very active crime scene. In fact, we just finished an update from the National Transportation Safety Board. A spokesman was out here talking about what was happening here, but I think you can see this area is still blocked off, and people, they're going to be bringing out the plane wreckage shortly. They've pulled that from the retention pond. But I want to get back to that briefing and what the NTSB just told us. Bob Kurtz of that department is talking about this is going to be a long investigation, probably 9 months. But here's what he just said.
I believe the term you look for is a missed approach. If a pilot flies to a certain altitude and can't see the runway, he or she would do a missed approach, and they could either try it again or go to a different airport. My understanding from the FAA preliminarily is that this airplane was performing a missed approach when it crashed. I'm very thankful nobody on the ground was hurt or didn't hit a house. It hit a retaining pond very close to a house, and didn't do any property damage, and it didn't hurt anybody. So, and just looking around at how close the houses are together, it really is fortunate. As bad as this accident is, it could have been worse.
So they're going to be looking in things. They're going to be looking at the weather conditions. There were low clouds at the time. They're also going to be checking into the pilot and to see his experience as a pilot. We've checked into that as well. And they're going to be looking at other things, the mechanical aspects of the plane. The last time that they had maintenance on that. Now, you heard they were very fortunate that only the plane, that the houses around here weren't damaged, that it was only involving the plane. Well, that's what a lot of these people around here are telling us. We were talking to them today as they are still trying to recover from this crash. People in the Sutton Lake subdivision are still coping with the accident from last night. Many ran when they heard that the plane went down in the retention pond, but they realized that there was little they could do. Others say they've been worrying about something like this happening.
It's traumatic. Traumatic. Very traumatic.
Have you ever worried about planes that fly over this area? You ever thought about this?
Constantly. It's constant. It's low, too low here.
In fact, reports came in last night that the Cessna was flying very low as it was trying to make an approach to the runway at Craig Airport. Today, the investigation is underway with the National Transportation Safety Board. This is an aerial view of the plane crash site. You can see the plane sitting in the shallow retention pond. And for many of the homeowners in the area, the thought that that plane was heading right for them. Gerald Vance was with his family. He was trying to help by jumping in the water to pull out the victims, but he believes they died from the impact.
Thank God that the pilot had this sense of, moving it away from my home, because the nose of the plane was actually pointing at my back door. So, I mean, it could be a very different set of circumstances at this point, so I'm just very fortunate to be here, thank God.
People are being kept away from the crash site. A small crane was brought in late this morning to try to help remove the wreckage from the retention pond. Crews from the Department of Environmental Protection are also here because of the fuel spill in the area. Also, we understand that that plane has now been fully removed from that retention pond. We heard from Bob Vance a little bit earlier, or from Mr. Vance, and he was talking about what he did. Coming up all new at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear more from him and his story of exactly what happened and how this affected him and his family. For now, we're live in Sutton Lakes. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
Jim, I know you said the investigators will be looking into Huber's background as a pilot. Can you tell us anything about that background, though, at this point?
We know that in 2001, he received his pilot license. He had that upgraded in 2006. There's also going to be an instrument panel. He was cleared to do that. I want to kind of break right here, Mary, and show you what's happening here. You can see this truck coming out. That is the wreckage from the plane as it's going to be taken now for that investigation. It'll be taken probably to a nearby hangar, and we heard the NTSB, this is what they're going to do. They're going to do an investigation now looking at this piece by piece, and as this truck is going to turn here, I want you to see that you can see the plane, the tail on there, parts that are covered. This is what they've been working on all day. and what they've been pulling out slowly throughout the day as they're going to make their way through this neighborhood, probably take this back towards Craig Airport at the time. But you can see just the damage from this, that plane is just all collapsed and what happened. And that's what people in this neighborhood dealt with last night as they dove into that retention pond trying to help. And as I had mentioned, coming up all new at 6, we're going to hear more from the man that tried to rescue those people. Mary?
Jim, just chilling to see that. Jim Piggott reporting to us live from the neighborhood. Now, while the cause of the crash remains under investigation, police tell us Huber radioed the tower at Craig and said he did not see the runway.